My name is Scruffy, and I hope you enjoy this segment of the podcast.
Starfield launched last week for early adopters. Anybody that wanted to spend $100 or $35 on the if you have Game Pass to get it, and then for anybody else that just either had Game Pass or pre-ordered it, got it the 5th. Yeah, the 5th.
Tuesday. Yeah.
So I know that Scruffy, Enigma, and myself have put time into it. Bill, I don't think you have not, correct?
No, I've watched a decent amount of it though. I'm too addicted to Armored Core to pick it up. So
Understand that. So yeah, I mean, since you guys have played it the most, I'm gonna let you guys kick off and kind of your guys' thoughts, especially because you guys are Bethesda fans. So have at it.
Definitely. Well, I can say that I am enjoying it so far. I went into Starfield. I mean, I have been a big proponent on Starfield before Starfield was even a thing. Like when I was playing Fallouts back when I was a kid, I always wanted a Fallout in space, and when it was announced that Starfield was being a thing, I was on board. The past years have made me a bit doubtful with, of course, the release of 76 and a few of other things that Bethesda has done since then. So I went into this a little hesitantly, but of course I still bought it because I'm a Bethesda shill. I will admit that.
Fucking Bethesda shill, bro. Look at this guy. Look at this guy over here.
To know that I own the game and I know that this is going to be a game that I play 5 years in the future to mod it again and enjoy it all over again, I am okay with that. I'm not just going to buy the early access. I did not buy the early access. I just waited till the 5th. I wasn't even there that weekend. So gotcha. There was no reason for me to buy into the early access anyways. But dude, honestly, like I said, I went into it hesitantly, but thus far, I've been enjoying it. I have not, knock on wood, ran into really any game-breaking bugs. I've only seen a few visual bugs in some instances of like meshing and a few weird things like that, but that's just the Bethesda spice. They sprinkle that on all of their releases.
That's the Bethesda MSG, bro.
Yeah, exactly, man. I can definitely say like the optimization for PC could be a little bit better for lower end PCs. I mean, my PC is not
Todd
low
Howard
end.
says you should just get a better rig.
Yeah, but and even so, my PC is like not low end. It's about mid now. But still, I would like to see it a little bit better. And it would be released with a few features they did not release with. They didn't release with upscaling for anything but FSR2, which is AMD's upscaling. So they didn't have DLSS. They didn't have the Intel. I don't remember that one's called. But and they didn't release with FOV. So there's a lot of weird design choices that they decided to go and release this game without. But I
correct
don't
me
know.
if I'm wrong. 76 didn't have FOV sliders whenever it.
I don't think any
Bethesda game
has released with FOV
I was just hoping
sliders.
this would be the one, because
the reason they gave for it, Todd Howard actually, I think spoke about it at one point. I can't remember where he was on an interview or something, and they were asking about FOV sliders and accessibility and stuff, and he was like, well, the way that we have the camera right now, we feel is the best place for that camera to be to have the cinematic quality that we want in our games.
Yeah, I just feel like that's so
and it's a cop out. Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. It's a fucking cop out because there's people there's people like me that like
you get motion sickness.
Great, whatever you want to call me, I got a buddy, a Shadowr calls me a fisheye motherfucker, because I have to have everything at like 120.
Dude, I play on
but like
Creek,
if
bro.
that's what I was about to say. If I don't have anything like near 100, I get headaches. I get migraines because I just feel like I'm too close,
and especially with
it just doesn't feel right
with FPS like limitations and hiccups. Like that makes it even worse. So. Yeah, man, I wish they would have released with something like that. For him to say that is definitely like it's subjective to the person.
It really is,
and that's why I was really hoping that this would be the one that they release it with. Because what I can say is what I'm really impressed by is, dude, how the game feels and moves. Like this is the first game that Bethesda has released on the Creation Engine, because that engine we all know is
20-year-old engine.
God awful, man. I am impressed that they somehow like surpassed this barrier of this movement that they've had in all these past releases, where you're so one directional. Like if you're running in one direction, it's so hard to steer in another direction. This one feels like I'm actually free, and I'm not like, it's almost not skatey, but like, I'm not locked in like to going just one way.
I can I can really
mantling too, man. That's
yeah,
impressive.
I can agree with that, because like from what I've felt in the past, that was one thing that I always complained about with like Fallout's Fallout 4, Fallout 3, 76 had it, Morrowind, Skyrim, Oblivion, all of them had a really janky fucking movement system, but like this one does feel really smooth, like and not even just in the movement, but like I feel like the camera, when you're in the first person mode with a gun and everything like that, I feel like it doesn't feel as jittery, if that makes any sense.
Jittery as if there was always mouse acceleration. They might have finally turned that off, because there's always been settings in the INI files that you could turn mouse acceleration off.
Yeah.
So I think this is the one that they finally just did it on default, which thank God, man. It's about
it
time.
feels good. The FPS, in my opinion, feels good. Now, granted, I've heard a lot of people say that they don't like how it feels. I'm sure that Sin probably has that opinion. I'm not sure. You can tell me if I'm wrong on that one. But yeah, it doesn't feel like past Bethesda games for sure.
Yeah.
So at least they've learned, and they've implemented at least some form of change into their 20-year-old fucking pathetic game engine.
I will say they really
can't get rid of.
They made it pretty too. I'm very impressed with the amount of detail.
The fidelity, the graphical fidelity does look a lot better, man.
I was honestly expecting it to look just like Fallout 4 all over again. Just
so was I kinda, yeah.
It really was an expectation of mine going into it, but yeah, man, it's the onions have details. Have you seen? There's some really detailed onions in this.
What is
game.
it with you and fucking onions tonight, man? Like,
yeah. it was last stream too.
Are you turning into an ogre? You got layers, bud?
Just gonna pull out oh man.
But yeah, so that no, that's exactly my opinion of it is the exact same thing. Like I'm coming at it more from I would say less from an aspect of like looking at it as like a Bethesda game, and more looking at it as like a competent space exploration and or like space sim, if you want to look at it that way. Now, granted, let me preface this, right? I'm not at all stating that this is a competent space explorer or like a competent space sim. Okay. Let's get that straight right now. It is not a space sim. This is Skyrim with a space
Oblivion.
Oblivion with a space theme, right? Like this is by no means a space sim like Star Citizen, right? So when you come in, and I've known that from the start. You're never gonna get a space sim from Bethesda.
Now
you might with mods. I'm excited to see what the modders can do, because I was looking at some of the mods today, and some of them do look extremely good. I'm really excited to see what that has. Yeah, they've got like 700 pages, and the game's only been out for like a week and a half, dude. It's crazy. But just coming at it from an aspect of like, I've played Star Citizen, I've played No Man's Sky, I've played Elite Dangerous. I'm a big space sim fan. I'm a big space RPG fan in general, right? I've played X Foundation. I've played a bunch of those. Coming at it from that, like it's competent, it's decent. Like they didn't do a terrible job. Yeah,
there's a thing between space RPG and space sim. Like it's not going to be that uber realistic like space simulator, you know.
For sure,
it's gonna just be more story, which is all Bethesda games. That's what
I equate it. I equate it more to like a space, like a what's the word I'm looking for? Like a just like a Morrowind in space. It's more arcadey than like a space sim would ever be, right? But they do have little aspects of a space sim that I'm really impressed about. There was a situation that happened earlier this week where I think it was we were talking about it before, where a Sony spokesperson or a Sony worker was kind of dicked on for saying anything good about the game, right? So they kind of like made her. They were really angry with her and were like asking for her to be fired.
That was
She did
ridiculous.
like a 7-hour stream just to see if you could actually go from like a planet to what was it? Was it Pluto?
It was to
Or
Pluto,
or
like
just any planet, right?
flying to
Just
another
fly
planet
from one planet
without
to
any
another planet without
jumps
any
or
stopping
anything.
or
Yeah.
jumping or quick loading or anything like that. And she found out that you can actually do that. The problem with it is the planets in this game, like in a lot of games that are not space sims, are not actual objects, right?
Right.
All it was just a sphere with a texture on it. The cool thing
She
about it
went right
is
through it.
she went right through it. Yep. The cool thing about it is, and the thing that I was not expecting, and neither was she, was like these planets have orbits. Like they're spinning as you're going towards it. It's spinning as you're going towards it. It's orbiting inside of space, right? It's orbiting around the sun. So she had to continuously like get up every 30 minutes, reposition herself so that she wasn't going to just overshoot the entire
That's kind of cool
planet,
though.
which was impressive to me because I never thought that was going to be the case. I thought it would just be like a skybox that
Definitely
displayed in
a
the
I mean,
game.
stagnant.
from what I
Yeah.
understand, it is just a flat like
It's
image,
a
but
it
but
is an
it,
image.
but it
Yeah.
moves in real time space
It
around you.
it has space. Yeah, it has like again, like I said, it has orbit. It has movement on the actual axis, everything like that. So I'm impressed that they added that into the game. Like honestly, like they could have just made it a skybox again, like I said,
Yeah.
and
Like I
just
said,
made that
they
skybox moving. You know,
they definitely took some time with the amount of detail in the game, which I'm impressed about.
yeah. And in terms of like actual space flights, I I'm gonna preface this by saying again, it's not a space sim, right? Like we're this is not a space sim. It doesn't have the best space flight in when it comes to like space
It's very
games in
basic.
general. It is very basic. It is not the best.
Point
The
and click,
movement,
pretty
the
much.
movement is a little jittery, a little janky. There's a
Yeah.
mod that actually smooths that out pretty well, which is a Bethesda thing to have to say. Like
There's gonna be a mod to fix everything in Bethesda. It's just
so
how it is.
it's not the best, but on the other hand, like I'm looking at it with like I coming off of playing No Man's Sky, right? I would say that these two games are very comparable in the way of like space flight and space combat when it comes down to like they're pretty close to each other. Like they're both
Really?
really arcadey. Yeah, they're both really arcadey. I haven't dug too far into Starfield's actual space flight and combat. I do know that there was a lot of people that were kind of annoyed that there wasn't any lock on. I think there is a lock on later, but you have to like invest points into it, which
Oh, maybe.
makes sense to me. It's an RPG. Like you're going to have to invest points if you want to do well in certain aspects of the game, and it has an entire like space combat section of the tree.
It's
So
cool
like there,
too because you
yeah,
can dock onto other
yeah,
spaceships.
yeah.
I think that's a really cool feature. I mean,
And
it's something
it
that I
offers
didn't
you a
expect.
play style. It offers you a play style
Yeah.
that you wouldn't be able to have on like games like No Man's Sky, because like No Man's Sky, you can dock on spacecrafts or you can dock on the on
Raiders.
like freighters and the space
Yeah.
stations and everything like that, but you can't like target spaceships
I
that you
believe you
want.
can also get docked. If I'm not
I think so.
mistaken.
Yes, I'm pretty sure that you can
Pretty
actually
sure I
be
saw
docked
that.
and invaded as
And
well in
that gives me
Starfield.
like Marauders vibes.
But you can't in like No Man's Sky, you can't like target a spaceship's like thrusters and
Yeah.
disable the spaceship and then dock and take over that, which is that to me, like that's a big aspect of the gameplay that I want to look into, is like because I kind of do want to be the pirate. Like I want to be like
Mhm.
the kind of skirting the law sort of deal. Myself and Byte have been doing an RP, like a character RP. Byte is running. I forget the name. He's running Cowboy Bebop.
Bebop.
I
Yeah.
think his name is Rick. I can't remember.
I can't remember.
Whatever it is, he's running Cowboy Bebop. I chose. I was going to go with
Are you talking about Spike?
with Spike. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
not Spike. The other guy, the bald guy.
Mm,
The one that
Sorry, I don't
the
know.
one that runs. Yeah, the one
I
that runs
know,
the
I can't-
Bebop. I can't remember his name
remember.
either. But I was gonna go with Serenity and Firefly, and I was gonna do Captain Reynolds, right?
Jet.
But then yeah, Jet, yes, that's it. Yep. Thank you, Shelter.
Thanks, Shop.
I was gonna go with that, but then I was like, I kind of, because I was looking at spaceships and people had already made the Serenity. People have already done that. So I was thinking about like all the 90s and 80s anime that I've watched in the past that have like spaceships and everything like that. It's kind of thinking about Gundam, but I don't think that you could do a lot of stuff in Gundam that you could, you know.
I have seen before, like the game even released. You saw that one person that made that giant robot.
But it's janky looking.
It's possible though.
It is possible. It's just janky
possible.
looking. So I went with Gene Starwind from Outlaw Star, and I know that you don't know what Outlaw Star is, Scruffy, but Outlaw Star is an amazing 80s anime. It's all about this kind of like he kind of skirts the law. He's a bit of a bounty hunter, but he's kind of a good guy still, but he's not at the same time, and he's got a dope ship. I think the biggest challenge for me is going to be making that ship, because like that ship is not going to be easy in this game. Granted, we're doing limitations. We're very limited by what the actual game gives us, and I'm hoping that mods will actually give us even more options later on down the road. But
you see, I wanna make the Futurama ship. I think that's my
Futurama ship.
Yeah, man,
that'd be awesome, dude. I saw somebody had made a 1-to-4 ratio of the Halo ship forward onto Dawn. I think the Pelican, but I'm talking about the frigate, the forward onto Dawn that's destroyed the original Covenant ring, the first one, by running into it. I can't remember what the name of the captain was, but yeah, I mean, I can't gush about it.
That is cool, man. Yeah,
I can't gush about that customization enough. Like, they did have a lot of really good customization options for like character creation. They have a lot of customization options for the ships. The only things that I can complain about really is again, like I said, not a big fan of the amount of loading screens.
I was really just gonna say
that's one of the biggest complaints that I have of this game, and I think that's a limitation of the actual 20-year-old engine, right?
Definitely is.
But then again, we saw today that like modders are starting to work out that like you actually the square maps aren't really just randomly generated. They're not. There's a grid of some sort, right? Isn't that what we were talking about? It you that brought it up?
Yeah, they found out that no, that was me. That they found out that that you can bypass the invisible walls and prove that the tiles are actually connected, like No Man's Sky, as far as the planet is concerned.
Interesting.
So that they actually are not.
So are they actually randomly generated, or are they just not?
They're randomly given to you.
The tiles, you can just go between the tiles.
The tiles are custom made. Technically, they randomly give you a tile whenever you land, based on like kind of a area, and then
so it's more like
they randomly populate
with their different sections of the map,
right? And then they randomly populate key points into those tiles. Like,
interesting.
One time you could technically get the same tile and have different key points. Like, there would be a cave one time, and then there could be an outpost another time. Those key points are where the randomness comes in. It's not all procedural. It's custom tiles with procedurally given things.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
But the fact that there's an invisible wall between the tiles is kind of a buzzkill.
It's a limitation of the engine, because they don't want you to like they found out you can surpass it through mods, but if doing so, your game crashes if you load too much of the planet. So it literally is just a workload issue. So
yeah.
Thanks all for tuning in to the Patch Notes. And if you enjoyed and want to see more, you can catch us live every Thursday night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern, or catch us after the fact at anchor.fm/prepatch podcast. See you next time.